Buildstone has been popular for a while now, and it's been entirely locked to blocks which work with redstone until now, because invisible sulfur cubes take buildstone to a whole new level, which makes me think maybe it should have another name, possibly sulfurstone? I don't know. But what I do know is that this is so cool that we should all just sit back in Minecraft. It feels very good to be back here on my creative testing world, once again looking at the sulfur cube. Now, in my last video, I made this working pool table, which can even start its own game. I mean, look at this. Look at that, just appearing. It looks as though I forgot to refill one hole, but look at that. And then to completely fulfill the look, we give it a splash potion of invisibility, and now you have working blocks in Minecraft. I mean, look at that. Which leads on to the premise of today's video, because look at that. We have just a block which we can now push around. I mean, this is basically buildstone on a whole other level. Let me show you why. So we've got our sulfur cube here. If we get ourselves a lead, we can attach it to this guy and basically drag him around, which looks really cool. And we can even punch him as well when he's on the leash, and he kind of shoots backwards, which again, also really cool. But the main thing I want to use is the fact that we can attach this guy to a boat and then simply push the boat around. If I was to get myself a bucket of water, place that right there, you'll see the boat is then going to drag the sulfur cube very, very slightly. I mean, I could even get in the boat and then drag the sulfur cube as well. I mean, look at that. Now, when I thought of this, I had so many ideas, because let's pick up that sulfur cube. It then breaks the lead. If we got ourselves some stone and try and create some kind of barrier like that, and then build slightly further up, create some kind of false floor on the top, we can place in our sulfur cube and it carries the invisibility and the lead as well. That's really interesting. But we attach that to the boat and then place in some water. Look at this. Look at the cube just get dragged along the path. That is so cool. And of course it stops. But if we even continue that further along, look at that. I mean, that is amazing. Now, if your mind isn't coming up with so many ideas after seeing that, what is wrong with you? Because that is game changing. I mean, we've even got a block and a boat, which right now just looks very strange. Now, I want to try and make some kind of factory scene just to see how this properly looks on a conveyor belt. So if we have kind of like a wall here and then maybe like an entrance this side in which the conveyor belt can then come out this way. So it's kind of something like that. And in fact, we maybe want to test out how far the leash can go, because if we have that there and then the sulfur cube right above attached with a leash, you can see there's a lot of slack on that wire. We want that to be in tension. So we want it to be really far away, because look at that. Yeah, we want it to be as far away as possible, basically. So if we build up, placing our boat up here, and then a sulfur cube probably right there, we can attach a leash there and a leash there. And now you can see it's not dangling. I want this guy to just float, and he's not floating yet. Let's drop him down a few more blocks, and here we are. Okay, so it's looking like half a block plus 7 blocks. So 7.5 blocks is the distance of a leash. Okay, that's good to know. And even look at that. That's like some kind of wrecking ball. So rather than working on the actual factory itself, let's try and figure out where the boat is going to go. So let's try and have some kind of track. It's going to start on this side and work its way along, come this way, and then maybe go. In fact, I've got a really good idea. If we make it go here, it could then go inside of this other room, and then it will get changed into maybe spruce planks instead, kind of like a working sawmill. So with our blackstone, let's go up 7.5 blocks and then basically recreate that path that's under there and bring it along like that as well. And it gets to here. This is where that room is going to be. So again, we can build that out like this. And then because this is going to be hidden, because we want the conveyor belt to basically come out this side as well, but we want it to be part of a separate conveyor belt. So I'm going to make the pretend conveyor belt out of smooth stone that's going to basically come this way and then wrap around all the way back over to the starting point. And again, we can have this come out probably around here like that, and then simply build in this back wall, and then we can add in our blue ice, and we can use the vibrant visual shadows to basically line up where things need to be. This is going to be so cool. Now, to help out with the actual conveyor belt underneath, I'm going to use glass panes and basically build it around like this, all the way around here, because the actual boat itself is slightly bigger than a full block, and so we have it like that. We can align the conveyor belt with just a single block rather than it being 2. I think that makes sense. It's going to come back around this way as well. And now we can start just getting our water in. I'm going to place a bucket there and then place a slab behind it, or place a pressure plate rather, to basically redirect the water around here, place another one. I'm just going to basically repeat that all the way along, even round the curves as well, probably one like that. And I'm not using the full 7 blocks of the water. I want to try and get as much power out of this as possible. And so now let's place in our boat. I'm going to place it on that block there. And then directly above it, I'm going to place our sulfur cube. And then attach the leash to the cube first. And then the boat. And let's see. Oh, look at that. That is... Oh, careful, careful. That is very, very close. But that is working so well. And then it just... That's it gone. That is it, completely gone. I'm going to build up this back wall as well to make sure you can't see it. And yeah, that is really close to sliding off the edge. I do not like that. Now, again, the reason why I've got it as tight as possible, because these corners, if there was a lot of slack, then I guarantee that block's just going to get pulled off the edge and not get dragged around. But it is coming out of the conveyor belt. Look at this. Oh, no, that was so close. What happened? Why did that? Oh, I have changed this area here to try and make it line up better. Maybe I didn't change it down below, and that could be the slight problem. But it's now getting dragged, and yeah, look how far behind it is, and we can see exactly what I'm talking about, where it's going to get stuck and then dragged around. Okay, but if we just quickly fill in the floor as this is coming around, you can see how this is going to properly truly look. And here it comes round the conveyor belt. Look at that. That is so cool. No visible redstone whatsoever. The planks are just working their way around. I mean, that is just amazing. The fact that this is possible in Minecraft. And of course, we can even build this wall out slightly further to make sure it doesn't look weird. We can even get some copper blocks underneath. And here it is once again. We can even get some trapdoors as well, just for a little bit of detail. And now this is the Sit Back in Minecraft contribution to Buildstone. I'm more so in vibrant visuals, but this is my contribution. I think it's pretty cool. And here it comes once again, back round in the conveyor belt. I mean, it is pretty perfect. Let's get a second one on the go, see how well that works. And I've also set up this command block as well. So if you're in creative mode, then this will help quite a lot. And so what that basically does is turns them invisible forever, and they have no particles as well. Now, of course, that's not as survival friendly, but 8 minutes of invisibility, you can get a lot done with that. You could have it where as soon as you step foot inside of this factory, all of the sulfur cubes become invisible. Something like that could work really, really well. But yeah, this is just, what a cool concept. Now, like we discovered at the beginning, you could use kind of like that as a wrecking ball. And yeah, that's really interesting, because imagine you have a broken down brick wall, and we'll get even more detail blocks to make it look really, really run down. And basically, as though this is kind of like some building which is no longer in use, it's time to get rid of it. And so if we build this up kind of like that with some brick and everything around about it like that, okay, cool. So it looks like a properly broken down part of a building. We can then basically try and make some kind of crane which is going to be knocking this part down. Now, I do just want to very quickly thank you all for getting the channel to 48,000 subscribers. I mean, that is so cool. We are so close to 50k. It's getting really, really near. And a very, very big thank you as well to our channel members for supporting me directly as well. That is really very, very much appreciated. But this wrecking ball is really not looking very good at all. Maybe we get some more stone in there as well. Maybe bring this out further. And then if we were to get some glass as well, we can make kind of like a driver's cab. And then, yeah, something like that. And then we can basically create the kind of crane arm that goes all the way up. Kind of like that. Maybe not. That's really steep. That is weird. Maybe something like that. That's not too bad. And then up the very, very top, we can get ourselves a bamboo fence like that. And then we can try and maybe hide that. I mean, that's not too bad. And then if we were to get our sulfur cube, and we can just steal this one and then basically attach them all the way up here. Okay, and he is swinging like an actual wrecking ball. But let's change him to more of a wrecking ball shape. Maybe a stone. And does that swing well? Not too bad. Okay. And then I basically want to try and wire up kind of like a dispenser somewhere to hit this. Now, I wonder if we were to try and get some kind of dispenser directly underneath, where's that going to send that? Maybe it needs to be more so there. If I was to get a button, place that there, maybe that will work. And then if we were to just fill it entirely with snowballs, press that, and okay, that kind of worked. I mean, it's swinging, it's hitting that in the wrong direction. Maybe that would work better if it was there. So again, we hit that there. Oh, look at that. It's like a proper swinging wrecking ball. Now, again, I'm just going to quickly fill this in a bit better so it looks more structural. And again, we can add a roof on the cab. And then what we'll do underground is we'll create what's called a chicken clock, where we place ourselves a pressure plate right there with a little bit of redstone. We can then fill in like that, get ourselves some eggs. We'll get ourselves a little chick, and this little guy is our crane operator. Look at that. We'll even give this guy a little golden dandelion. And now every so often that little guy is going to be swinging his wrecking ball into this building which is currently being demolished. Who knew that such a little guy had so much power? And I'm basically just going to be adding in some more detail like this, just little bits of kind of like rebar that's going to be poking out. We can even add some in like that. And look at that. There we go. That was in action. Look at that wrecking ball just swinging. Now, again, this is purely just decorative. You do not need any invisibility potions for this. This is just something that's just going to work from time to time. And it's just going to bring, I mean, imagine my city world, something like this, just going to bring a little bit more life. And it actually swings, and it swings quite far, and then it goes back to nothing. Now, again, this is not expensive at all to get. I mean, that'll go on for quite a while, and if you really wanted to, you could set up some kind of like hopper system where if we get some carpets, we could just use some pale moss carpets, and then yeah, pale moss carpets. We can get a whole lot of stone textures like stone and some gravel as well, even some regular pale moss. And then if we place our hopper in like that, add in a whole lot of snowballs just to keep it top. We can then place in some moss carpets. We can then remove the ground. We can even add a little button there if you really want to activate it yourself. And we are going to have to remove that, but look at that, an actual working, oh, and it's done a double whammy. That is so cool. Now, as I've been working on this, I have had an idea, because if we were to get something like waxed copper trapdoors which you can actually see through, and now as we discovered, we need to go quite high up, and then we can bring this round like that and then flip them up. We can even do the same down the bottom as well. We can basically do, once again, that exact same boat trick where we can knock this guy through. He's going to slide through that pipe. Now, I want something which looks cool to be going through here. Maybe something like resin. This could be like a resin pipeline. I mean, look at that. Really bright orange. That looks cool. It's kind of like lava. It looks like a lava pipeline. In fact, you know what? I'm going to place another one right there. Put another resin block in there. And then I'm going to cap off the end to make sure it doesn't slide out. Let's knock that guy forward. Okay, cool. It looks like proper lava just setting up in that pipeline. We can then go back down of our magic number of 7.5 blocks, place in our pipeline underneath, and again, using vibrant visuals because we are on bedrock, it can then get here, and then I want it to basically work its way back round, all the way over here as well, back in here, and then I'm basically going to try and line up that with a wall, so that it goes inside of a wall, and again, all the way round. I don't want these guys getting out. But you know what? This side could be basically another pipeline as well. This time it's a straight pipeline that could even go further in. We can then add in our trapdoors like that, and I'm even going to encase this side of the pipe that's going to be inside the building, completely hidden away. I'm going to encase that fully to make sure that the sulfur cube does not get out. And you know what? Let's actually add in a couple more sulfur cubes into this pipeline. And again, we can do that just by lifting that up, getting our bucket of sulfur cube, and then under here we can start adding in the water as well. I just thought I'd quickly mention, people on our community Discord are starting to work on a community server, which is really cool. There's a lot going on in the Discord at the moment. You should definitely join it if you're not in there already. And if you've got any other suggestions for the sulfur cube, please let me know, because I love playing with this guy. But this is basically the same premise as that first design, only slightly different. And because it's fully covered, we can basically have loads of sulfur cubes next to each other to make it look like one solid chunk of whatever block we want, which is so cool. So let's line up where our water starts. Let's place in a brick block, and we can even get ourselves a boat placed in as well, which we can then attach our sulfur cubes using the leads, attach it to that boat, seal these guys in here. Oh, and I have clearly messed something up. I've attached, what have I done? I think I've attached these guys to each other. So let's get the shears, shear these guys so they don't have their leads anymore. I think that's right. Okay, so let's get that first one attached. The second one, let's do it one at a time now. Now, of course, the only downside to this is the leads are exposed. That is a problem, but I don't think there's anything we can do about that. But let's drop this guy in, give him a little nudge so he goes in the water streams. And look at that pipeline. It's pushing the resin through the pipeline. That is so cool. And now it's totally hidden. It has then entered the building. Maybe that's some kind of smelter or furnace. But I really want to just, oh, and look at that. Oh, that is genuinely amazing, the fact that it does that. I'm actually speechless. I mean, imagine you're walking underneath. This is part of your world. You're walking underneath. That's what you see. There's no water in these pipes. Again, the only thing that's kind of throwing things off is the fact that the leashes are visible. But if they weren't there, if you to maybe download a texture pack, which was to make these invisible. Now, that's slightly pushing from vanilla, but I might end up doing that purely for this, because this is just so cool. So the finished result is something like this. I mean, look at that. Just a pipeline with resin, and it's just working its way through. It then goes into the other side of the building. I mean, there is no purpose or point for this, but this is so cool nonetheless. And again, this is just what I came off of on the top of my head creating this video. Imagine what you could do with just a little bit of thinking. And again, please, if you do something, please share it with me in the Discord or leave a comment. This is genuinely So revolutionary. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it.